This is GKW. Welcome to another edition of Good Karma Wrestling. Happy New Year to all the wrestling fans out there. I'm Gabe Neitzel from ESPN Milwaukee. We've got the crew back together to kick off 2025. Brian Rowitz from ESPN in West Palm and Ketchum, ESPN 1000 in Chicago, our guy, Jonathan Hood. All right, we're kicking off the new year. WWE, AEW, a lot of exciting things. Last night, AEW streaming on both, not only just being live on TBS, but also streaming on Max. Streaming on Netflix is Raw starting on Monday. So let's kick it off. Let's throw out some bold 2025 predictions in the world of pro wrestling.
A McMahon will return to pro wrestling in 2025.
Ooh.
Ryan?
Whoa.
No, this is we're going to get a McMahon that will return, and I believe that's going to be Shane McMahon will return to professional wrestling. You know, the interesting thing about 2024, the number one story that we've already covered is this no McMahon in charge in 2024 in professional wrestling, which has not happened since 1947. So the idea that there's no McMahon in charge and it's Triple H and it's Tony Khan and it's that era, that says a lot about the business, but I believe a McMahon will return in 2025.
Okay, that's interesting. For me, you know, we talk a lot about these long title ranges. To me, 3 world titles in pro wrestling that we actually care about. The AEW world title, which we think is in a briefcase. We just don't see it that much. Unless you're watching Illinois football. They have the AEW world title. And then 2...
That was wild.
2 WWE titles. In the year 2024, I predict just 4 world title changes all year between those 3 titles. I looked it up. We had 7 in 2024.
Okay, I was about to say, what was the number we had? I mean, the majority of them happened with the AEW World Title. We had 1 with the Undisputed Championship. And then
we had 3 technically for the world.
Oh, yeah, because,
Drew won it and lost it to Priest, then lost it to Gunther. And in AEW, we had 3. Swerve won it, Brian won it, and Mox won it. I think 4 total between those 3 belts.
Okay, so you're not including TNA?
No. I couldn't tell you who currently has that belt, so...
Well, you know that Nick Nemeth... Don't do that. You know Nick Nemeth is the TNA champion.
You say that. I wouldn't have known that if you asked.
You know that because you just asked me a couple weeks... No, it was I think it was Gabe asked me, is like, Joe Hendry's going to be the champion, right? I'm like, yeah, eventually. Maybe that next show. So, yeah, I mean, I think I can go along with that. As far as the big 2, correct?
Yeah, so the 2 WWE titles and the AEW titles. So 3 total titles.
Okay.
I am going to say Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, while he appears, he will not wrestle in 2025. It feels like the biggest matches they can do are Rock versus Cody, Rock versus Roman. I do not believe we get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a WWE ring in 2025, and those matches continue to just hang out there.
Well, Gabe, let's break down why. Because this is something we thought would happen, that he'd at least appear once in the ring. Why is this, if it's true, why is it not happening?
Well, it feels like he only is going, like he's not going to suddenly appear at, Clash in the Castle. Like, really, there's only one show. For me, it makes sense for The Rock to wrestle at. Like him coming back and, even doing Survivor Series or Money in the Bank or SummerSlam, even as they've built up, SummerSlam's clearly the second most important event in WWE because they're making it into a 2-night event. But if we're looking at the major events in WWE, which at this point are the Royal Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, and I guess if you want to say Survivor Series, even though I feel like that one's even dying out, the only ones it makes sense for him and the only ones he's really wrestled at in the past, I mean, he did appear at Survivor Series in that tag match with John Cena. He appeared at the Royal Rumble and he did WrestleMania. I don't think he's wrestling at Mania this year. It just all seems way too quiet on that front. It seems there's whispers out there that there were some reshoots that he has to do for the live action Moana movie. And maybe that's what's preventing him from, diving full in and participating in any sort of build towards WrestleMania, whether it be with Roman, whether it be with Cody. And I think if he's not going to wrestle at Mania, it doesn't make a ton of sense for me for him to show up at SummerSlam. It doesn't make a ton of sense because he only wants to be there for WrestleMania because his next match, whenever it is, could very well be his last match. And I can't imagine that, the trivia one day, where was Dwayne Johnson's final match? Oh, it was at the Elimination Chamber. Oh, it was at Backlash. No, that's not going to be the answer to that question. It's going to be WrestleMania. So if he's not appearing at Mania, I'm saying he doesn't wrestle in 25.
Well, then is that a miss on the WWE's part if we don't see him wrestle in 25?
Yeah, absolutely, it's a miss. But again, there's only so much you can do.
Sure.
Like when he's leading the life that he has, and he has these reshoots. Again, that's just a rumor I happen to see online. I have no idea if that's true or not. But if things like that pop up in the, especially if it's for Moana, like let's be honest, the other movies Rock has put out recently haven't been. Moana is his new cash cow, right? He's got to strike while the iron's hot on that. So. Yeah, I think so, because he popped up at what was the one they did in it? Bad Blood. He showed up in Atlanta at the end, and there's been a cliffhanger ever since. Like we've been hanging on the edge. Maybe he shows up to clarify where he stands on Netflix, and maybe I can end up being completely wrong, but it's feeling like to me we're not going to see Dwayne wrestling. And it is a miss, because the biggest matches, I mean, if he's the biggest heel of 2024, he was one of the biggest characters in 2024. It feels like if we're making a list of 5 biggest matches WWE could do in 2025, Rock Cody and Rock Roman are in that list of 5. So yeah, it's a miss, but I don't think it's something that they can control. And, it's something that it's out there. They can't, so they got to pivot and deal with something else.
As much as I would like to see The Rock in the ring, guys, with him being the final boss and just showing up and doing some promos is just as good. Eventually, we're going to see Rock, but you just know that when he's on that ramp, when that music hits, and when he speaks, and this is not PG Rock, especially on social media, it's going to have an impact. And so we're going to find out which side is he on. Which side is he on? We're going to find out. Is he on? Is he with Roman or is he with Solo? And I think that's intriguing. This Ulafala is just scratching the surface, this matchup we're going to see on Netflix. But I'm looking forward to seeing which side Rock is on. And if he doesn't wrestle, at least that will extend the story and people will be very interested.
I just feel like that window, though, I feel like The Rock might have a longer wrestling window than Roman at this point. Like, we barely see him as is. Roman seems to be the type of guy that a year from now be like, all right, I'm done, and just walk away, and we never see him again outside of random appearances. That maybe you missed that Roman Rock window, which was ultimately that moneymaker. Like, going back to a year ago, because wasn't it that day one where he said, I'm going to sit at the table? That was a year ago.
Table, yeah. When he interrupted Jinder Mahal as the returning WWE champion.
That was in San Diego. That was, a year ago we just saw that, and it was great. But, if it doesn't work out, at least his presence helps in a big way.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I think we get those appearances. I think he pops up every now and again, but I just don't think we ultimately see him in a ring.
That'd be quite a miss, I feel like.
Because what do you want? Because what do you guys want? You want Cody to get his comeuppance against Rock, correct?
I want Rock Roman.
You'll get that.
You think Rock Roman? See, it feels like there's more money in Rock Cody right now.
Yeah.
We will get both. He doesn't have that many matches left in him.
Well, literally, that's the only 2 he has left.
Right.
Which is why I thought we would get Rock Cody first. And I just think Rock, for his legacy, for Roman's legacy, would make the most sense if Rock Roman was his last match and then he was done with in-ring performing.
As much as I know, Broach, you want to see him come down the aisle in Miami. I know you want to see that. Gabe and I want to see him in the Midwest with the rolling briefcase, go to a house show. We'd like for him to do that. He just is not going to do that. It's too bad. Hey, Cena's going to do it. Cena's going to show up on Netflix, I'm sure.
I remember for years going to Raws in Miami with the intention maybe Dwayne might see The Rock tonight, and then literally going to a house show this weekend. My 8-year-old goes, "Would The Rock be there?" And I was like, "No," but then part of me was like, but maybe
he shows up. Do it for the U-Rock.
Well, but isn't that where he showed up when he was the host of WrestleMania? Wasn't that in Miami?
That Mania was in Miami. Rock Cena 1 was in Miami.
Yeah, but when did he show up? When he was announced, I thought that was also in Miami. Or am I way off on that? As the host of WrestleMania. That started that whole thing.
Right.
I think that was WrestleMania 27. Because that was a big shock. And that was one of the first times they did a host of WrestleMania. And the place was up for grabs when he came back for that. As now, I think that was Miami, which would explain why then every time you go to a show at Miami, you're like
it's a drive, but if I hear that music hit, all of a sudden it's worth it.
Yeah,
just so.
Well, don't worry. Listen, WWE's going to do away with house shows outside the holiday tour, so you won't have that many shots to see them.
None scheduled until March, as we sit here on January 2nd.
Yeah, and that'll be the road to Wrestle. The kind of it feels like that's all they're going to do is kind of the road to WrestleMania and then the holiday tour. Those kind of stops, to build up for WrestleMania, and the kind of the holiday ones always do well because people are at home and they seem to have fun. And CM Punk runs out there in a towel and a shower cap. People are digging the house shows around the holidays. And
those will all be international shows. The road to WrestleMania.
And that is going to build momentum because those crowds are going to be great. They've tried it in Tulsa, they tried it in Topeka before, and it's just like, you know what, we're just going to go international. So because the people really appreciate it. But I want another prediction that I hope is going to happen is that somehow, some way WWE goes to Puerto Rico again.
Oh yeah, that would be. Yeah, let's not wait another 20 years.
Right. Backlash in 25 will be in Mexico. That was announced this past week. So I don't know if Backlash is their designated, we'll send this one overseas.
It's a miss, man. Get back to Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I think about that thing once a week, man. Once a week. It's just in the back of my head. Just like,
are they waiting? They're probably waiting for Bad Bunny's schedule. They don't want to do it without Bad Bunny.
That's true.
They find a window in Bad Bunny's schedule, that PLE, whatever month it is, it's heading to Puerto Rico.
Because it's going to be Bad Bunny against
Logan Paul.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
In Puerto Rico.
Sign me up. Yeah. You're telling me? That thing's selling out like that. That'd be sick.
Go. And we're sending you.
Great main event.
If that happens, we're sending you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm going. I am 100% going.
We are going. We have a fund ready. The wallet is ready. We are sending you and the missus. You're both going.
We're both going.
Yes.
She'll have a great time. She'll absolutely love it.
Well, someone's got to hold the camera. I want to make sure that someone's got to hold the camera as you do your report there. So we're going to pay for you to go. We want you to go because I think that'd be awesome.
It would be awesome.
That's for business.
One last one that I wrote down that I guess I'm just wishing comes true. Christian never cashes in.
Oh, just holds it.
Holds on. Just holds that thing on for the all of 2025. Why not?
You know what? I think that's likely. Just to keep them relevant.
So have they announced? Is there an expiration on that thing?
I don't think so. I have no idea.
You asking AEW to have a story?
A little bit.
Okay.
Just an expiration date. That's all.
I don't know. I've not heard him say anything about it.
The one I had for AEW is I think we see women main event a pay-per-view. We finally got a 20-minute match this week, which was shocking to see that was a stat. That the first time ever we have a 20-minute match is 5 years in. I think they get to main event a pay-per-view in 25.
AEW, correct?
Yes, AEW.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it's the Mercedes Moné that we've been seeing away from AEW and this show that we saw in Orlando, that's likely, but you got to build. Yes. She did a promo with a red carpet, and I thought someone was going to come out. She just did her thing, and that was it. It's like, why'd you roll out the red carpet for her just to do a promo and then no run-in? Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very odd to see nothing happen there. I saw a bunch of tweets oh, this could have been an email, but they got her on Max, so you call it a day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird because the TBS championship is now becoming bigger than the Women's World Championship, and I think they need to figure that out quickly.
Yes. Would you like for them to merge, maybe, or just for those two to have a match?
I don't know, but again, and nothing. I enjoyed the Tijuana street fight that they had on World's End, but it feels like Mariah's just not the star that Mercedes is. And if Mercedes is hitting promos and she's delivering in the ring the way she is, it's going to be tough for any AEW Women's World Champion to outshine her as she's holding the TBS championship.
And also the TBS should be the developmental one. Mariah has done things overseas. Most of the American audience hasn't seen that. If she was the TBS champion, you're developing her, then that makes sense. Mercedes is the star of that division, but she doesn't hold the main title.
I because it's Mercedes, she makes the TBS title mean more for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've said this before on the show. I like Mariah May in the ring. It's just on the mic. I said disconnect. I don't know what she's talking about. Like, I know what she's saying, but it doesn't hit home for me. I don't think our promos are great or good. Like Mercedes, you know what you're getting, right? It's the bullet points. You know, she comes up there, she does the dance. She's cocky, even though she's still over. I know she's a heel, but still people cheer her, you know, so because they respect her. But Mariah May, like, it's what you just said, Gabe. That matchup she had against Thunder Rosa is quality. Thunder Rosa made Mariah May in that match. And so, but it's just when she speaks, it's like we saw Toni Storm up here, and then Mariah May's the champion. It's like,
well, that's the problem with Mariah being AEW Women's World Champion, because not only is she behind the TBS champion, she's behind the previous world champion, because Toni is somehow doing something better than the last thing she did. Like, it's outrageous. Like,
and there are like levels to what she's doing. I've seen people speculate that like she still is timeless, but she's playing the rock star gimmick and doing that right now. Like, it's not even an amnesia thing. Like, she's playing a role, trying to like trick her. Like, it's amazing.
Could be. It's going to be half and half. It's going to be her in the timeless outfit, and then her as Rock Toni Storm.
Yeah,
and it's
have like the eye black under one eye, and the other side's the timeless side. Yeah. That side, is in color. Yeah, sure, I can see that. But again, that's Mariah just kind of keeps slipping down those rankings when you have those two doing the great work that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have any other bold predictions, make sure, hey, drop them in the comments, drop them and discuss amongst yourselves. Bold predictions for 2025. The one thing we like to do here on GKW, we call it the 3 count. Other top 3 stories in the world of professional wrestling. What is number 1 this week?
We are just days away from the Raw on Netflix debut Monday night. So far announced, we have Punk versus Rollins, Roman versus Solo, Rhea versus Liv, a John Cena appearance, a Cody Rhodes appearance. But what should main event the Raw on Netflix debut?
This is an easy answer for me. It's Tribal Combat. Tribal Combat is the main event. Roman Reigns is your biggest star. He's the one who main events things. Tribal Combat, because it also leaves the door open for a potential Rock return, which is also what you would want in the main event. You have Tribal Combat at the end of hour 1 or hour 2 or hour 3, how many ever hours they're going to make this thing. But wherever Tribal Combat is, that leaves the door open, again, for a potential Rock return. You're not putting Rock on at the end of hour 1. You're putting him on at the end of the show. And that's why it's a simple answer for me. Tribal Combat main events, the first ever Netflix Raw.
And I think one of the reasons for that is many times in 2024, the Ula Fala was more valuable than the World Heavyweight Championship or the Undisputed Championship. I mean, it just shows because it's a number 1 storyline. Look, I know where you're getting at, Brian. It should be Cody and Owens, but it won't be. It'll probably start off the show.
Well, I don't think it is. We don't have Cody and Owens.
No,
That's
Cody Owens is Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
You sure they're not going to have a battle, some kind of issue?
Oh, I'm sure they'll have some sort of sure if Cody shows up, KO is going to show up with the Winged Eagle, and they'll have some sort of pull apart brawl. But the actual ladder match is Royal Rumble.
So, but in terms of that, though, in terms of story, it should be Punk Rollins. After what we saw on Monday night, I agree with what you're saying about Roman Solo. But if that's main eventing, we have to see The Rock on Monday, because those two main eventing and then the match just ends and there is no Rock. That's a letdown.
So what you're saying is Tribal Combat, based on Tribal Combat placement, we'll know what's happening at the end if Rock is showing up last night. Much like we know if a Brock Lesnar match is happening at the beginning of the card, Brock ain't winning. Brock's going to leave right after the match.
Yes. If that's the opening match, Dwayne is busy. He is not in LA. If that's the main event, then Dwayne will get there 3 hours into the show and we will see him Monday night.
So we're going to MJF it. If I'm not first, don't put me on the card.
Right.
Or if I'm not the first or main event, don't put me on the card.
Yeah. If I'm not last, I'm going first. And if I'm not going first, I'm not showing up.
Let me do Triple H booking. I believe The Rock as a prediction. I think The Rock will be there because it's Los Angeles. It's Netflix. Yeah. He will be there. The Triple H booking is that Roman beats Solo for the Ula Fala, and then there's Rock either coming into the ring or is going to be on the ramp, and then we fade to black, and then you decide, which side Rock is on. I think that's how that works.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think so. And that's the
end.
I'm
not fine with that. That's what we got. That's what we got at Bad Blood.
That's all we're
not
going to keep
fine
getting.
with that.
For the next 2 years, we're going to get Dwayne appearances. He's going to count. He's going to stand at the ramp, and we're like, now what? And we won't see him for 6 months.
Brother, that's the slow burn that WWE does, man. That's a stem winder of a story, man. Slow page turner.
Like
Now what
no,
does
that's
Rock
not a
do?
slow burn. That fire is out. It needs to be reignited.
Oh no. You're not
Right
you're
now,
not
it's
doing
the
that Triple
candle
H
my wife turns on every day, and I got to like blow it out before I go to bed.
Oh, that's not how WWE does business. Slow turn with the page. Rock is there. Which side is he on? Find out next week on Netflix. And now we can turn the page for chapter 2. And then you just keep going. That's the way they do business.
But it's not the next month, like next week or next month. Like it's months later before we see him again.
If he does the exact same thing he did at Bad Blood, that's not a slow burn. That's like I started reading the book, put the book down, and then 6 months later went, oh yeah, I got to read that, and then I picked it up and I just read the same thing again. Like that's what we're doing. If he just shows up and they fade to black without him doing anything or picking a side.
Yeah.
I mean, Triple H knows you're going to tune in next week, so he didn't care. He knows he's
going regardless. Like
yes. Well, I'm just saying you're talking about what you want, but I've been watching this product for a year. I know what he's doing. He's just trying. Look, I don't blame him. He's got 52 weeks plus to fill. He's doing 4 corners basketball with us. That's what he's doing with this writing. It's what it is. So I mean, look, Punk and Rollins. That promo we saw at the end of Raw, oh boy. Oh, doctor. Mm-hmm. That was really personal, man. That's very shootish.
Have we ever heard anybody go after Punk for not having any kids?
Nope.
Yeah, that felt like one of those lines, and like we haven't seen anything that was pissed off, but it's weird. It's like when people don't actually like each other, you can still make money and do business with it. It's quite a concept.
I believe CM Punk after that line looked around and go, am I in AEW? Is that Hangman Page? Is that Eddie Kingston that just threw that line at me? I'm sure they talked about it because they want to be on as edge as at the edge as possible. But my God, holy Dr. Boy, that was stiff on both sides.
Yeah, that was a hell of a main event.
Yeah.
And Punk dancing around the Vince stuff and saying essentially like, "Oh, you were that guy's favorite." Like they went there.
You know what? I had to rewind it. I missed it at first because I thought I said, "Is he talking about Tony Khan?" Like, oh, he's talking about Vince. It's like, oh, and he loved you. It's like, oh no.
So that's the thing. Like, I want that match violent. I want to see that match, and I guess Netflix changes things in terms of the ratings and when people are watching. But like, I feel like that as a main event gives you more juice than them opening up the show on Monday night. Unless like everything we've learned as fans is just out the window now. But
Roman, if people are tuning into Netflix for the first time in a while to watch professional wrestling because they've put it everywhere, right? Like I have seen Raw is Netflix ads everywhere, not just during Raw, not just during SmackDown on USA. I've seen them, watching football. Like they're
watching
they're
New Year's Eve coverage on ABC, like Dick Clark's New Year's Eve. Yes. Literally, we had that on. I was like, oh, we're on Netflix. Like, they are getting out there.
So, anybody who has a Netflix, I'll check out Monday Night Raw. Like, the end of Monday Night Raw to hook someone isn't some blood feud that they're just now getting into. It's The Rock.
Right.
Which is why I think The Rock is the only way you can close out the show.
I think that is the case. The other thing is we get McIntyre, Jey Uso. I will be – now, here's where I'll be upset. You did this with Saturday night's main event with McIntyre first. It was a good way to start up. Don't start Netflix with this now. That's a middle of the card feud. You just kind of put it together the last couple of weeks. Let's not do that. Let's not start the show that way. Let's not do that.
I feel like the opener is Rhea Liv.
Sure.
You let those two out there. You see Rhea.
So traditionally, though, Monday Night Raw starts with a promo.
Right.
Are we going to get that? Or are they actually going to treat this like a PLE? And this is just going to be a lot of matches. And then we get kind of the more traditional Raw starting with the second episode on Netflix.
Well, if you do that route, then it has to be Cena, right?
Yeah, then you start with Cena.
Cena will be there. He definitely will be there.
I think starting with Cena, he runs out there. Welcome to Raw. on Netflix. I think that makes the most sense.
I think Becky Lynch is going to be there too.
Wow.
She was in one of the promos I saw.
Yeah, she's in one of the commercials.
Yeah.
It's about time to roll these surprises out, like Lynch, Charlotte. We're going to start as we get closer to WrestleMania. There's some names that we haven't seen in a while to start rolling out and try to find their footing on the card for WrestleMania.
I don't know. Maybe I think about it too much as a wrestling fan. Like Roman Solo just doesn't do it for me. Like I think part of that's on Solo, like from a wrestling standpoint. The story's there. Like, yes, it's great. You're trying to
but it's tribal combat, man. Like they're already telling you it's going to be the schmozziest of schmozzes.
Yes,
like,
it is.
Like that's already by declaring it tribal combat, which we already know from last WrestleMania is anything goes and expect anybody and everybody to show up. Like they don't have to deliver a 20-minute classic.
Like, are we going to see Taker? Are we going to see all these random run-ins?
Well, no, I don't think we'll see names of that. But obviously, you're going to see, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga and Jimmy, Jay, Sammy. You're going to see all those guys.
Did you say Taker?
I'm just saying. You want to throw?
You want him rolling out there, the Undertaker? What's he gonna do?
I don't know.
Choke slam solo, I guess.
It worked at Mania. Went out there.
Look at this guy's imagination. This guy.
Yeah, it worked at Mania because Taker and Rock have history, man.
But it's a new audience. They just know Undertaker. If it's old wrestling fans that haven't watched him forever, like, oh, I know that guy. It's the Undertaker.
Everything's gonna be fine, and then all of a sudden, here comes Goldberg. He's gonna roll him out there too. Goldberg, Brett, Sean. Oh my God!
Just saying, don't rule it out.
Lita, just roll them all out from the '90s.
Play the hits.
At some point, and pretty soon you got to cut the cord with these people. You just have to. Like the people that Vince relied on. There'll be wrestlers on the road for 300 days a year. Can't be a WrestleMania, pal. It's bringing nostalgia. It's like, wait a minute. What about these people who've been busting their ass away from their family? Like, can they get a Mania check? Nope. Sit upstairs. Then from there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, it's a PLE. It's going to be a big event. They said it's, WrestleMania adjacent. So, got to play the hits.
So, but one thing for sure, no Hogan.
Yeah, I think they've moved on. I think they moved on.
He would have been a Saturday Night's main event if they.
He would have been. They got Jesse first, and
yeah,
I don't think they trusted Jesse if they rolled out Hogan.
Don't bring Hogan back. There's no reason there. Just keep it going. Bring stuff. Now here's the big question. Like Austin, can he get Austin to WrestleMania to do anything? Anything?
Well, again, that's the only time because we know he's not going to show up for Netflix Raw because that ain't in Nevada. And Stone Cold doesn't leave the state of Nevada. We know that.
Man, oh man. It's too bad. They got to work on that relationship. That seems a little fractured. And
if open the checkbook.
And if WWE's not going to do it, hey, Tony.
Bring
him in, double or nothing. Bring him in at AEW.
But here's the problem. Like, unless you get rights to whatever the name of his theme song is, like, half of Stone Cold is hearing that glass shatter.
That's true.
Yeah.
If you can't get the glass shatter pop, like it's probably not worth whatever Tony would ultimately spend.
He'll license Johnny Cash for Stone Cold Steve Austin. Anyway, if you got the Pointer Sisters, you could do anything. What?
You're so excited, but you're so excited.
I fell off my chair. I said, "Really? That's what you paid for?"
I had to sound on my wife. She said, "What are you watching?" I was like, "It's AEW. It's Dynamite."
Wrestling.
Like, why? Like, don't ask.
I mean, it sounds like unlicensed music from a territory in 1977. There's you know what? Let's just put this record on. This will be our music. I'm so excited. Like, what? In 2025? Oh, God. Jeez.
Yeah, he's innovative.
Welcome to Directional Wrestling here. Southwest, Northeast, Southwest Championship Wrestling here. I'm so excited. What?
Well, speaking of AEW, let's go ahead and get to number 2.
World's End this week saw Jon Moxley retain the title in the main event, winning a fatal 4-way over Jay White, Orange Cassidy, and Hangman. And then last night on Dynamite, we saw the Death Riders lose in the main event to Rated FTR. What is missing from the Death Riders story right now?
Dominance. They don't look dominant enough. I think that part of what has made the bloodline even continue and be this big storyline is there are touch points everywhere. Like, even though Drew McIntyre's not involved, Drew McIntyre wasn't involved with the bloodline. Like, he was like, there were still bloodline undercurrents when he was involved with CM Punk. And now those bloodline undercurrents are back forefront as he's, facing off against Sammy and Jey Uso and doing all those different things. Like, there are small little touch points. Like, Cody's doing his biggest thing right now since winning the championship because he teamed with someone from the bloodline and it has undercurrents. There are touch points of the bloodline all throughout the WWE product. If the big thing for Jon Moxley is he hates how AEW's run, he wants to change AEW, there need to be touch points everywhere, all over the show. Like, there need to be like, oh, we don't like this, and Yuta shows up and takes somebody out, all throughout the course of the show. Instead, it's very segmented, which is kind of what AEW's always been, where, well, this story kind of goes on over here and this story goes on over here. The one thing I've really enjoyed with Triple H is he kind of made everything make sense within its own, circle. Like, everything makes sense. Like, you have with the New Day stuff, Rey Mysterio kicking him out of the locker room. And then I see a social media video where CM Punk is saying, yeah, one of my New Year's resolutions is to make sure Kofi and Xavier continue to have to, dress in the bathroom or outside or whatever he said. Like, there's these continuity things. So it's having all those touch points of, hey, you don't like what's going on in AEW? Like, there needs to be a presence throughout the show. And then they need to have a dominant presence. Like, right now, to me, Mox is too much of a chicken shit heel, where he needs to be more of that badass, more dominant out front. Not that, again, when you're in a fatal four-way, it makes sense that you're going to have the interference that they did.
Right.
Like, it's set up for that. But it just seems like he's over-reliant on that and still doesn't come off looking as strong as he needs to. And then they turn around and, yes, I know it's Yuta, but they needed to win that match. If you want this to be the faction, the dominant thing, and they're going to be changing AEW, like, sorry, Colt, new name for you too. Sorry, Colt, you're not going to win your match coming back. Like, that to me is what's missing, and that's been the disconnect really from the Death Riders. Is it's too inconsistent. They do 50-50 booking, and they don't have an overarching presence on AEW television. Yeah, they're on every show, but they're just kind of over here on this portion, and then we move on with the show and pretend like that didn't happen.
So the answer for me is competition. There's several things, but one of them is competition. We saw that main event at AEW in Orlando at World's End, and I never thought that Moxley would lose the championship, even though it was a fatal four-way and he could lose the championship if he's not pinned. We watched that match. It was less than that whole card. You got bangers on that card. You got to the main event. It's like, first of all, it's too short. Mm-hmm. And secondly, the booking of that was, as I was watching, I was like, huh. So you've got Cope and you've got FTR. And how come they didn't interfere in the match as the Death Riders interfering? Why were you in the back? Why'd you do that? So how come that? So that whole booking was a disconnect. The other thing is the second reason is the booking. You have too many factions in AEW. You got too many. You got babyface factions. You got a heel factions. And so the best thing that they've done is made the AEW championship the centerpiece. Because we saw on Dynamite where a number of people said, I want that championship. Jeff Jarrett said it. MJF says it. Swerve Strickland. I mean, all these wrestlers want the championship. So I'm glad the AEW championship is a centerpiece. That's what wrestling is built on, is who wants to be the champion. All the arrows, all the slings are supposed to be on Jon Moxley. But when you have, 5 factions, you don't have any. There's no reason why that Claudio and Pac can't be the tag team champions. Put those in the lockbox too. Like, yep, we're collecting championships. You're not going to see those again either. If Marina's a badass, put her in the ring. They won't put in the ring because we know when the bell rings what that looks like. Yeah. So what I'm saying, Brian, is like, there's two things. One, it's just the booking of everything. And two, the opponents. We all three of us respect Orange Cassidy and Jay White, but we're watching this like, those guys are not going to win the championship. Right. I don't know if they're holding it for Darby or whatever, but I'm saying, like, I watched that match. I'm like, he's going to retain. It might retain for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, literally, that main event was one of the worst in AEW pay-per-view history. Like, we talk all the time, like, oh, stories are okay, but then pay-per-view comes, like, all right, we know we're going to get 3-4 hours of amazing wrestling. That match happened, and it ended at 11:30 Eastern. We're like, that's it? Like, I was in the arena, and it just felt like the air was sucked out of it. Like, it was 1, 2, 3, everyone looked around like, well, now what? And then the little details, like, even after the FTR thing on Saturday, those guys, Death Riders, going through the locker room. Like, why isn't the story that everyone hates them? No one wants them there. To your point, Gabe, they're not dominant. Why didn't the locker room just outnumber them? Like, I know it's pro wrestling and we suspend disbelief, but I hate when they just sort of insult our intelligence where it's like, oh, well, just don't believe this. Like, Orange is leading the way, but why is no one really helping? Like, why is no one else trying to do things? Hood, you say tag titles. They're the trios champions, yet they weren't defending those last night because Pac's not there for some reason now. Like, those belts are basically non-existent now. Like, it's just, there's such a disconnect. And we talked about it early on about the patience. And if it goes all the way to Dallas and to All In, and if that's where Mox drops it to say Darby, you make him a star. I don't know if they can wait that long anymore, the way it's going right now.
Yeah, and I like the potential of it. It just kind of feels... It kind of feels like the Blackpool Combat Club. And I know that had some different things to it based on injuries. And obviously you had, the leader of it eventually go back to WWE. And like, there were just, so a lot of different things. Are they still together? And Danielson's out and all these different things that kind of, full started it. But it just kind of feels the same thing where it's, okay, when it starts, you feel like it has potential. And you like the way it looks, like on a promo or on a vignette. You like the way this looks, but there's just something in the execution that's lacking because, why would the rest of the locker room care? Like, they haven't gone after those guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I think, Claudio and Pac and Marina and Yuta need to have that presence felt. Like, it doesn't always have to be Mox. Again, you can take a page out of that playbook that WWE runs with the Bloodline. Like, Roman in the Bloodline heyday, Roman wasn't there all the time, but you still felt it from the other people showing up. And then if somebody actually stands up to Yuta or whatever, well, then there's Moxley there to back him up, and you can do it however you want. But it just kind of feels like they should have had a presence throughout the show yesterday. Instead, they're just kind of jammed into the main event.
Yeah, I mean, the MJF promo was great because where he acknowledged what was going on, but he's like, I don't give a shit about if they burn the company down. I want that title. Like, that I enjoyed seeing. The Rampage thing was great. Like, storyline saying these guys are ending this show, that's perfect. But then there's just so many misses right now also.
It just, let me just make sure it's clear. I like Jon Moxley as AEW champion. I like it, and I understand the premise of it. It's about the execution of it, though. Right?
Yes.
I guess that's unfair for us to try to compare this faction to the great factions we've seen over the years because they ain't pulling out spray paint. They're not dominating the roster like we saw with the NWO or DX or some of these other. I guess our expectations have to be lowered because it's AEW. And I'm not taking a shot at them. I'm just saying that you have gold here, but you haven't been able to really manifest it into something bigger. And the reason why is because of all these different factions that you have.
Well,
it's
so
too many.
To that point, Hood, so AEW's been around for 5 years. And yes, they're still in the infancy of this thing, and they're going to continue to grow, whatever. What's the best faction in AEW history?
The best faction in AEW history was...
there's a lot to choose from, but nobody's really, truly differentiated themselves. Well, I mean, I guess you could say maybe the Elite, but I don't know.
It's the Young Bucks with Kenny, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
And even then, like...
Yeah, I mean, the Inner Circle, I would say, is more memorable than even the Jericho Appreciation Society. Like Inner Circle, the different versions of the Elite that they've had, but nobody like truly separates and stands out. And I think that's where we were excited for Blackpool Combat Club, where we were excited for this, right, for the Death Riders, because they had an opportunity to become that and become this memorable faction that every other wrestling company has always had. And this one's just kind of it seems like it's falling short the way that so many other have before them.
Well, Hood, you mentioned like the NWO and things like that. Like, would you have an issue if literally this was just a direct ripoff? Like if they were spray painting the title and they were just running roughshed and adding different members, like, because that might be better. That was 25 years ago. People might not remember that as vividly. Like, if they just said, "Hey, we're running that back," would you have an issue with that?
I would not, because it just makes them stronger. Because
Right.
it's them, the Freebirds, the Horsemen, like
Sure.
that's what we're talking about. Like a dominant faction where they're kick ass, and it's like, oh, well, anybody beat these guys. I just think the AEW audience as a whole, just watching on television, I don't have the feeling that the fans want this faction to get beat down.
Right.
Like no, who's booing? Watch the show. Anyone really booing Moxley? You were in Orlando. Were people really booing Moxley when he came out?
No, people are excited to see that. And Gabe, to your point about like Orange and stuff, like we've gotten to the point where you see Orange lose enough these matches that no one believes it. So like that pop is even dying down a little because like, well, he's not going to win. Like Jay White's not that guy. Mox is going to be defending in 2 weeks though. Like Casino Battle Royal upcoming Wednesday. The following week he's defending in Cincinnati. You can almost chalk up he's going to win that one. Like.
He's also going to be cheered. He's from Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah, there's that part.
Yes.
He's going to be super over.
Yes. Great booking.
Right. Well, we said, Tony sometimes misses the calendar and doesn't realize where he is, and there might be other events. So maybe he forgot.
So I'm not again, respect for Moxley is just about execution and the opponents. I mean, even if Darby does win in Dallas, look, they built him up for a long time, but then I'm watching Hangman Page is doing some of his best work. I'm watching Swerve, and I'm just like, oh my God, you got guys here, but they want to go in a different direction. I think Darby's the future.
Again, the win for Mox going over Danielson's kind of worn off because I feel like they've just lost so much momentum because as dominant as Mox was in that match, he hasn't been that dominant since. Like that, you needed to, if you wanted to build him a star, you needed to make this faction incredibly dominant and a team and just somebody that is, oh man, whenever he goes down, this is going to be tough. And instead, they booked this 4-way match where there's interference because there's going to be legal interference because there's no DQ.
But even that stupidity that like the refs kicked them out, kicked those guys out. They came back and still interfered. It's like, well, what are we doing?
Yeah. Jim Ross asked the same question on the broadcast, by the way. He also is, where'd they go, Tony? Where'd they go? They're in the back. Oh.
Think about that. If JR's questioning your logic on your broadcast, maybe think it through a little bit more.
It was weird. It was JR and Tony. They both were just like, they also were a little confused about why that the others were helping John Moxley when it's supposed to be a fatal 4-way. And then no help from the back. It's just bad, man. It's not what I thought it should be. It could be a lot better. I guess that's the question.
It has so much potential to be awesome, especially with the way that they all look, the way that Mox, as strong as Claudio is, as great as Pac is, as great as the potential of Wheeler Yuta. This thing had all the potential in the world that they just threw all away.
And even to the point where, like them being unbeatable, like Claudio not winning the Continental Classic or even being in the semis.
Yeah,
like
that's the thing. Like
you let them get there.
Yeah, that's if you're going to put him in there, then Wheeler has to help him, or Pac has to help him get to the finals or semifinals or whatever.
Well, they tell you no outside interference, but what does that really mean in AEW?
Right.
It's professional wrestling. Every time they say no outside interference, guess what I expect?
Right.
Yeah.
Outside interference.
No, but the owner loves the tournament king. So you got Okada, which is fine. I got no problem with Okada winning, but just the point is, like, if you're trying to build your number one faction that's around the heavyweight champion, you got to build it better than you have.
Then don't put Claudio in the Continental Classic. You have plenty of other guys that can replace Claudio.
Yeah, like they got a name written. Ricky Starks, I think
he worked there.
What do we have next?
All right, we talked about some predictions for 2025. Let's continue that. Who will be the breakout star of the year 2025?
Okay, so I wrote down 4 names. I did a male and a female from both WWE and AEW. But I think that if I just had to pick one, I'll start there, and I'll say it's Jacob Fatu. I think Jacob Fatu has the absolute potential to be the breakout star of 2025. Crowds get excited anytime he just stands opposite of anyone big because the man is absolutely crazy and insane. I think he's obviously playing a supporting role right now in Bloodline 2.0, but I think he's got all the potential to be a breakout star in WWE this year.
I wrote down Stephanie Vaquer. I think that 2025, maybe mid to late 2025, I mean, she deserves to be on the main roster. She'll go right. She'll be a buzz saw right through AEW, through NXT, and so I expect her to be able to be pretty strong in 2025. Maybe in the Rumble, maybe.
That'd be a good spot for her. I also had Jacob Fatu as one of my 4. I would even go as far as say, if you told me it's Roman versus Fatu in April of this year's Mania, I'm okay with that.
He's crazy.
Like, I think he's that ready.
He has it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got it. I don't know. The problem is the only thing he's WWE's version of Groot. For anybody familiar with Marvel, the only thing the man says is "I love you, Solo." So I don't know if the guy can actually cut a promo. You might have to have Paul Heyman switch sides again, but or he just says "I love you, Solo," and again, like somebody else is translating it for us. Like either way, like we just need to figure out a way for him to be able to get some sort of point across on a microphone.
I think he can. I feel like I've seen some in MLW where like he can do what he needs to do on the mic.
Oh no, he is a tremendous promo.
Yeah,
but just not PG. That's the thing. Don't you remember our interview with Joe Dombrowski, the voice of MLW?
So they don't trust him. So the only thing Hunter lets him say is, "I love you, Solo." That's the only thing they let him do.
So
better say them sorry.
Because he can't be trusted.
No. You heard what Joe Dombrowski said. He says because he had these filthy promos sometimes, but he knows what he's doing. The other thing is interesting about Jacob Fatu. It's a very strong New York accent. It's almost like 2025 Taz. It's pretty strong. It's something, man. But he can cut a promo. You give him the mic. I think the fear is, and it makes sense. I mean, Jacob is a better promo than Solo.
Yeah,
but the WWE audience doesn't know it yet.
Right.
Oh man. I mean, so that's why. All right, we know that Solo's working, and Solo's gotten much better over the last couple of years. But if you give the mic to Jacob, then he'll get all the shine, and I don't think they want to do that yet. Not yet.
I mean,
because he's already getting a lot of the shine.
Right. Because I'd say Jacob's a better everything than Solo, and Solo's good, but like in the ring, on the mic, and like I think that's why we sort of see that pullback version. But I'd much rather see Fatu in all these big spots than Solo right now.
I wrote down another name, guys, and I know that he's been a seasoned veteran for a long time, but there's nothing. No, not Jeff Jarrett. Don't know what. I know why they did that, because they're going to be in Clarksville, Tennessee. And now I had to.
Because they wanted to piss me off. Is that why they did it?
No, because they're trying to get tickets to Clarksville, Tennessee, to see Jeff. And so
that's
I
Mox
get
is
that.
stopping it too.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Look, I just come around on Jeff Jarrett serving a decent purpose in AEW. For him to come out and cut a promo saying he's going after the world championship, dear Lord.
I know why they did that, because I watched the promo. I just sat there silently. But then they had the lower third of Clarksville, Tennessee. I'm like, he's there to sell tickets because of the old Memphis territory. He figured he's going to get some walk-up tickets just because I'm going to go for the world title. That's JEFF. So I'm like, I get it now. Now I get it. No, the season veteran I'm talking about, and there's nothing like a fresh coat of paint. He was like, my God, man, what are they doing with him? And then all of a sudden, he comes out there in a suit and glasses, and it's Ricochet. That's a different guy now. It's amazing what happens when you just say, Ricochet, we know you do all the flips, and we know you have the same match. We know you think you're Jet Li. But how about this? How about you attack one of the best baby faces in the company in Swerve Strickland, have a pair of scissors and bust him open the first time we're on Max, and in a suit, and then your shirt looks like Dexter, you're looking great. So that, to me, chef's kiss. You want to put a fresh coat of paint on somebody? That's how AEW did. That's a good story right there. That's good stuff, because now you don't even think about the flippy Ricochet. You think about a guy that looks insane.
I'd even say like the little details, just the glasses, like changing up the look that much. And he made sure to keep him on the whole time. Like that was a different side we saw last night.
That was good.
The AEW name I wrote down, and maybe it's more wishful thinking. Again, he's somebody who's been around for a long time. Brody King. Like, how many times does this man have to step into your ring during the Continental Classic, have everybody cheer for him, make it painfully obvious how over he is, and yet he loses, 2 out of every 3 times he's out there. Like, you don't have to put the world championship on him, but you got how many other mid-card? You got 1,000 mid-card titles. Like, throw one of those on him. See what he can do with that.
If I'm a wrestling big man and I'm in AEW, I run away from that company.
Yeah.
Can't get over. Sorry. That's not what Tony wants. The land of the giants was WWE for a long time. There's half that roster are big guys would thrive under Vince, thrive under him. But clearly Tony Khan does not like big guys to get over. Powerhouse Hobbs had the match of his life. That's the best singles match we've seen. He wasn't going to beat Takeshita, but the point is, though, is like Hobbs, even he knows there's a ceiling on his success. He'll never be world champion. It just doesn't make sense. Brian Cage will never be champion. Yeah. Wardlow will never be world champion. And just guys are sitting at Rusev sitting at home.
I agree. Like, I'd love to see Brody King push the movement. I sort of given up on that. But in terms of big guys, I go the other way. Obafemi in the WWE, like, that ceiling's higher in the WWE. He has shown what he can do on the NXT level. Think he's going to win the NXT title soon, but that's a guy that on the main roster, him and Cody in a world title feud, like, that works. Like, he is a monster, and he delivers in the ring, and I think he could have a big 25.
Yes, and by the way, Gabe, I don't know if you got the email. Because there's no more Rampage, you're in charge of NXT on Tuesdays.
Oh, I've got NXT on Tuesday? Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, you don't have Rampage, so.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Rampage was my baby, and Mox, who's my guy, killed it in front of my face on Friday.
So so now you're on Ego Ethan Page duty every Tuesday now. You take care of that and give us and report back. That's your job, pal. As far as my job, Ring of Honor,
I just assumed I was going to take the third hour of SmackDown.
Oh no! You got to take hours. You always have to take wrestling adjacent. So you're going to have to report to us on NXT because me and Brian are busy. That's right.
All right, I got you on NXT.
Because if I gotta keep covering ROH, I had to re-up again. So if I'm covering ROH,
all right.
So
NXT, I got you.
Brian, you're with me on Billy Starks, right? I mean, this is it. This is Billy Starks, and I think, and I will also throw out someone else that I think is really wrestled well in 2024, and that is the ROH TV champion. That's hard. That's
Commander?
That's not Commander. No, not Commander. No, the guy that was in the last show that was as champion who wrestled Nigel McGuinness.
Oh, Lee Moriarty. He's a pure champion.
Pure champion.
Yes.
Moriarty. Yeah, I thought he had a really good 2024. He got off of Rampage, got off Collision. He's like, you know what? I'll go over here to ROH, and he had a really good match against Nigel McGuinness.
So I'm going to say this about Billy Starks. I agree as a star. Like every time she's there with Athena delivers. Didn't win the belt in the last show, which I don't quite understand. But I guess it's the whole tree falls in a woods. If she's a star on ROH and we don't see her on AEW television, is she still a star in wrestling?
Damn right she's a star in wrestling, pal. Did you see that sign on Dynamite? Push Athena. Yeah. It was
yes, but that's a small, sort of crowd that's seeing Athena, what she's doing. If Billy falls into that boat, like I feel like we're missing out.
Billy Starks is in that matchup against Athena for ROH over the holidays was just amazing. I also just scribbled down Julia Hart because I think it's a restart for her now.
Yeah, I put down Julia as well because she is still young. She's had success in AEW, but I think she's just scratching the surface of what she can accomplish. And I think she can even go to higher heights in 2025.
See, the AEW woman I wrote down was Willow. I think they finally pulled the trigger on her. She is someone that can be the face of your company, can be in the main event spots, can do the media hits. We've had her on this show. Like, she is the top baby face. Everything she does is a hit. Put the belt on her and run.
Oh, Willow is a star. She's been on GKW, as you mentioned. That's good enough.
Continuing to grow. There's more room to grow for her.
Yeah, so I think I also scribbled down Jade as a singles. This is going to happen soon here.
I guess it all depends upon if she's. I mean, I agree, but it depends upon if she's actually hurt or not. If she's actually hurt and she's out for 6 months.
I don't think she's really hurt. I don't think that she's hurt.
Okay. I have no idea.
But
I feel like we've seen it like 6 different ways at this point.
Right.
I can't. Yeah. I'm not paying attention to any rumor and just hope that she shows up at Rumble or Raw on Monday or something else. I don't know.
GKW reporting that Jade Cargill is not really hurt. This is a storyline, but the question is, and I'm sure it's going to be in the lower third one day, is Jade ready to be a singles?
Right.
You sure you want to do this? I mean, as a tag team, the reason why it was great that she was with Bianca is because you could hide Jade. Not saying Jade's bad, but Come on, man. I mean, it still needs a little bit more seasoning. And so as a singles, it's just you. So I don't know. Obviously, this show's been waiting for Jade against Bianca for a while. But is Jade ready for that? I don't know the answer.
I agree.
Oh, and that's the problem. Like, she's gotten better with her promos too, but like Bianca's still doing the heavy lifting on that side as well.
One more I wrote down just because I think there'll be more eyes. Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yes.
Done with Impact, rumored to be going to AEW. Seeing Speedball on weekly television might do wonders for his stardom.
Really disappointed in Impact and TNA. Like I'm happy for their success in 2024, but their free agency, man, looks like the Florida Marlins after they won the championship.
Or any year. Yes.
Just horrendous. Like you can't just keep losing guys. Like Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry. There's money in that, but what about the rest?
AJ Francis re-signed, top dollar. Just giving you the facts.
One more, yeah. One more name I wrote down. I did write down Lyra Valkyria. I think that Triple H really likes her. I think she's going to get a push. I think she needs more of a purpose, but I think she's walking away as the Intercontinental Women's Champion. And I think she's going to have that. So she's going to have plenty of opportunities. Triple H is going to push her. I think once she finds that hook on her character, she proved her match with Io Sky, spoiler alert, I put it in my matches. I love that on Monday Night Raw. She's got it in the ring. She just needs to find that character hook that's really going to take her to that next level. And if Triple H continues to give her opportunities, I think that Hunter is going to figure that out for her.
That title match, by the way, Raw on Netflix, episode 2. So not on the debut. It's going to be the following week.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with you, Brian. We're going to watch her week to week because I'm not there yet. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Monday was good, though.
It's all right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's going to deliver in the ring. She just needs that hook. She needs to find that hook. And if Hunter's going to continue to push her, they're going to find her a hook.
I know where to find a hook. In New York, sitting on that porch. That's where you can find Hook. Badass promos, by the way, when he sits on that porch or on that garbage.
Yeah, I like the producing of it.
It's like, who produced that? That wasn't AEW. It's like, it looks so cool, man. It's farmed out. Like, who's producing these? Not bad.
Yeah.
What do we got in news and notes this week, Brian?
All right, let's start with some more wrestling because you never have enough of it. A lot of Tokyo Dome action this week. 3 a.m. Eastern, Saturday, Wrestle Kingdom 19. Zack Sabre Jr. defends the IWGP Heavyweight title in the main event against Shota Umino. That is Saturday morning, Wrestle Kingdom.
Do you boys still have your New Japan World from last year, or did you actually find a way to unsubscribe?
I did unsubscribe to it. Yes, I found a way.
Okay. All right.
I believe I did also. But
Yes.
you might get 2 shows if you are subscribed because also 11 p.m. Eastern Saturday, Wrestle Dynasty. That's New Japan, AEW, CMLL, Stardom. Quite a show there. Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet, David Finlay versus Brody King, Mercedes Moné versus Mina Shirakawa, and the Great Okan and a mystery partner take on the Young Bucks. All that part of that show.
No, that all sounds great, actually. All of it. That sounds really good.
The Young Bucks back in the Tokyo Dome and Kenny's return to the ring on a sort of AEW show because, you know.
I mean, so we heard that Kenny's coming back to AEW Dynamite next Wednesday.
Right. We saw him Saturday in Orlando.
Yes. So
wasn't there last night.
He was not.
In Japan this week.
In Japan. That's kind of the trade-off, right? He should be wrestling on AEW first, but that's not the deal. He's going to be on this AEW-ish show in Japan. Okay. All right. So now he's just going to talk people into the building or to the TV until whenever he's going to wrestle again, I suppose.
That's how it goes. So you got people subscribing. You got to find a way to cancel, though. So you can watch the New Japan World. You can watch on Triller. I don't know where else you can watch, but late night, early morning this weekend. So have fun with that.
We'll be watching and we'll report next Thursday.
There we go. Some WWE PLE news. Backlash in 2025 will take place in Mexico. Also reports out that WWE is looking into more 2-night premium live events, including the Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank moving forward.
Bad idea. I mean, WrestleMania, I think you can make it happen. SummerSlam, I'm less skeptical about. But if you want to have these shows, if you want to do 2 nights, fine. You're just not going to be able to do it in football stadiums. Like, I just don't think. I love the Royal Rumble. I don't think there are enough people like me that love the Royal Rumble that would want to go to 2 nights of the Royal Rumble at a football stadium.
Yeah, so they're trying to separate the men's from the women's. Mm-hmm. That's what they want to do. So women's first night, men the second night, however they want to do it. And then still it's funny, they're gonna have 2 nights and it still won't stack the cards. They still won't. They'll still do like maybe 4 matches underneath the Royal Rumble and then go home, and then you get. I know why. We all know why they're doing it, because of money. It's trying to double your money. I get that. I just
don't know. I feel like the novelty of it. Again, you can get away with it with Mania being the biggest thing, but I just think you're going to stretch yourself too thin with these other ones, and people are going to lose interest.
What if, and I'm sure to be a pain in the ass from a logistics standpoint from their side, what if the 2 nights were in different locations?
Oh, logistically, they could do that. I mean, you were at a house show. You were at a house show, Brian, and then the other house show in Chicago. So you can, does that change your outlook on it? Like, so then you're getting different fan bases and like different people traveling.
Well, and again, I mean, the Rumble hasn't grown. I mean, the Rumble this year, is that in Lucas Oil? Yeah, and I just don't think you can do it in football stadiums. I don't even know if you can do it in baseball stadiums. Like, because I know, so Milwaukee wants to make a big push. Here I'm in Milwaukee. They want to make a big push once they winterize American Family Field. They want to winterize it, and they can have events and reports out there that they want the Royal Rumble here, which, again, huge fan of.
Yeah. Gabe's leading that push.
I don't know. I don't know if you're selling that place out 2 nights in a row. Like, people are going to be rabid and people are going to be ready to rock if you do it one time. But if you're doing it a Saturday and a Sunday, I just don't. I don't know if there's going to be that kind of hunger for it.
I did see Gabe on The Truth talking about this as a topic. Good. They were talking about that. I remember he took over the microphone. It's like, Brother Neitzel is here. Brother Neitzel, break down this Rumble for Milwaukee at M-Fam Field. And Gabe explained, like, this is good for the community and really be getting. Now, will it be able to add revenue to the Black community? Well, all communities. Gabe explains. So he's got a big push. You're right, Brian. He has a big megaphone. He is explaining to all corners of Wisconsin, this should happen. It should be a great thing. You got 2 wrestlers from Wisconsin that could also support this. One of them is, we got 2 guys, right?
Braun. So we got Braun.
You got Braun. And guy that wrestled on Raw on Monday night, who said he was from, is it Sawyer, Wisconsin?
I didn't see Silas Young out there. I don't know.
I was about to say, I mean, you could probably bring Silas out. We'll go crazy for him.
So you have 2 wrestlers there from who wrestled on Raw. What did we see on Raw last night? On Monday night, who said that he was for the first time said he's from Wisconsin,
like on a promo.
I missed that.
No, it was in the ring. It was in the ring. Gabe, it was. Let's go through the Raw matches, and I'll tell you. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling up right now.
Go through the Raw matches. I was surprised to hear that for the first time from Wisconsin.
CM Punk, Rollins, New Day promo with Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre attacked.
Yes.
Chad Gable and Otis.
That's it.
Otis.
Otis. Yeah, Otis is a Wisconsin guy. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So they for the first time they gave his hometown. It was weird. I haven't heard.
So when they brought him down for his match against Gable, actually, okay, I must have missed that.
Yep. So it surprised me. I should have wrote that down. But yes, but so you got 2 guys that could be able to promote Milwaukee for a
big guys too. Yeah, we got a chance to intimidate some people. Hell yeah.
That's right. Otis.
Elsewhere in news and notes, AEW continuing to push young talent. Last night we learned Jeff Jarrett has announced that he has signed his last wrestling deal. Also announced on social media, Dustin Rhodes has signed an extension with AEW.
I thought Dustin was retiring like 5 years ago.
He's a double champion in Ring of Honor. He can't step away yet.
I feel like ever since he's been in AEW, like the graphic they show when he comes out says one last ride. Like, I feel like that's been Dustin's for the last like 4 years at this point.
They didn't say how long the ride was. What do you want?
He's doing Canadian Destroyers on ROH.
Yes.
It's amazing.
2 belts.
It's amazing.
He's the natural.
He's bleeding every night
Well, yeah.
that ROH
I mean,
run.
that's-
That just
that's
sheesh.
Him and Sammy will be part of that Wrestle Dynasty show this weekend as the ROH Tag Champs.
They will?
Uh-huh.
Oh no. There's no reason for that. Okay. But I'm actually excited. I'm excited for the Jeff Jarrett run. We're gonna get that Jeff Jarrett run. He's gonna go for the title. Because everyone's excited about that in 2025.
And finally, news and notes. The Young Bucks in an interview on Tunnel Talk podcast says part of their heel turn was, quote, intentionally wrestling boring matches.
I don't know why they said that because that's not true. I don't know what.
Here's the thing.
But
But if nobody's in on the joke, then you're just wrestling bad matches.
Nope, they said you're dumb if you didn't realize that it was part of the story.
no,
So.
they didn't wrestle bad matches though. They wrestled Young Buck matches. Can you give me a bad
flips and stuff? They said.
Well, that's not true either. I don't know why they said that. If we thought that the Young Bucks had a bad match, one of the three of us would have said it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. But that's
That's an
again,
inside
if you
joke,
say
brother.
that and like, but again, if you think you were wrestling bad matches and then you weren't, but then nobody was in on it, but then I'm dumb if I'm not, like, all right, screw you. I don't have to watch your company, man.
Well, they're back in action this weekend. Not on AEW television, but Saturday in the Tokyo Dome.
Gabe is just totally full of the tent of the Young Bucks. He's just like, screw you. That's enough.
Fine. If I'm dumb because you did something that like you're trying to do something so meta that nobody gets it. Like, yeah, you're geniuses. Yeah, you're just so smart. You're smarter than everybody else.
I saw someone the comparison that like Cactus Jack when he would do like the side headlocks as a heel, like there was a vast difference between hardcore Cactus Jack and chain wrestling Cactus Jack. Like, didn't notice that in the Bucks that much.
It's the same match.
There still were super kicks.
There's super kicks and changing the shoes and
Well,
pumping up the
is it
shoes.
because they changed the finisher to the? It used to be the Meltzer driver, now it was the Khan driver because they injured Tony with it. Is that was what I was supposed to notice? I don't know.
You know what? We just ignore them because unless you're just trying to be a heel, like maybe it's just them still being heels and just trying to make everybody look stupid. No, you wrestle the same match. There's only one match that they wrestle. It's the Young Bucks match.
Right.
It's the way it's a style.
It's accurate.
I wish there was a second and third gear with the Young Bucks, but they only do it that one way. So same referee, same announcer, Excalibur from the PWG days. So it's the same thing I've seen for years. So we'll just ignore that.
What did you boys have as your matches of the week?
Well, that means we got to look at World's End, don't we?
That we
do. So
All right.
Ospreay versus Fletcher, right?
Yeah,
and
so
Okada. We got two.
So I'd ask you, Gabe. So what was the best match at World's End for you? The
Ospreay versus Fletcher.
Ospreay Fletcher. Yes,
I agree.
I believe that. And boy, I mean, you talk about the way to start off a pay-per-view. My God, you got blood in the first 90 seconds, and you got a great match.
He even bleeds better than everyone.
Yes.
Like, I don't understand.
I don't think I've ever.
Mox is back there taking notes. Like,
yes, like
that's
the
an
way that
interesting thing.
looked, and like it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, Mox should take notes because he bleeds from the back. That was weird. Who bleeds from the back of the head?
I don't know.
He's coming up with different ways to bleed. I don't know. Like, he can't keep cutting the same one. I'm guessing it's not good for you.
So Mercedes Statlander.
Yep, I put Mercedes Statlander on there. That was fantastic.
And being in the building for that, I think Hood after, like, they should have made the audible. Stat should have won that match.
Fair.
The crowd was invested. Like, it would have been a nuclear reaction if she got the 3 count. And there were a few times like, oh, this is it. But she didn't.
Now, here's the thing about 2025 in AEW. So Stat loses again to Mercedes. Did I text you guys about the inside story of why that match took place?
Yes, I think you did.
Okay. So I should say it on the air.
Yeah.
GKW reporting that the reason why that we got Mercedes Statlander 2 is because Mercedes was supposed to take on her bodyguard.
Yeah.
What's her name?
Mm-hmm.
Camille. And we saw a couple of matches from Camille on Dynamite, and Mercedes apparently wasn't impressed and thought the match would be less than. So there's a reason why we don't see Camille on TV, and that's why they went with Statlander.
I mean, I think we all won.
Yes.
That match wouldn't have been good with Camille and Stat. It'd been fine. But it would have been this caliber.
It wouldn't have gotten 20 minutes. It wouldn't have been this.
Right. I just worry Statlander always losing these big matches. Like, same thing with Will. Like, you got to pull the trigger at some point and let them win one of these big matches.
Yeah. So the other point I was going to make is that if Statlander, since she lost this one, will she have a rematch? If she does not have a rematch, because the story should be, God, I just need to beat her. If I could just beat her. So Statlander can lose another one but still, at some point she wins the championship. If they've cut her off for any opportunities, then this is a waste. Then what's the point of Chris Statlander if she's not going to get another opportunity at the title? So
I agree.
So Orange Cassidy against Hangman on Dynamite.
Kicked off Dynamite last night.
Yep.
Yeah. Non-World's End. I said it before. Io Sky versus Lyra Valkyria was really good on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, and I was surprised Lyra won that. Like, I just expected she wasn't going to, and her getting the win. And, the fact that Tegan won on the other side, like, surprised at the finalist for the IC title. I was very happy with that. Dakota, sorry, not Tegan.
Yeah.
So, making young stars with mid-card titles. We'll see how long that lasts.
Okada Ospreay, I thought the story was well told. I actually wasn't sure that Okada was going to win. I wasn't sure just the way that Matt, but then you saw Ospreay kind of like a video game just start running out of steam. It just at the blood and he's got the bandage on and just kind of just ran down. Yeah, then you just knew like it's over. So, but I enjoyed the match.
Ospreay that's the one they should have. Ospreay should have won. Because you want to talk about not winning big matches. The dude hasn't won a single big match in AEW.
Right.
Like, and I understand the history with Okada and Kenny coming out and, handing him the belt. And there's going to be some tension there because Okada was part of the reason that Kenny got, taken out storyline wise with the Young Bucks and all that thing. But you're telling me there wouldn't have been more juice if Kenny comes down and hands Ospreay that belt?
Right. And also weird booking, like outside of Ospreay winning his semifinal match, the heels won all night.
You notice that?
Okada Ricochet was both heels, but you had that. Takeshita wins, Mariah May wins, MJF wins, Mercedes wins, Mox wins.
And some of them got cheers. So who's a babyface and who's a heel in this company? See? Where's the lie? Where's the lie?
Jeff Jarrett did beat QT Marshall in the 0 hour, though. So you got a face win.
And Tony Storm won her match in the 0 hour.
Yes.
To set up her match with Deonna Purrazzo, which I am looking forward to. First time ever on Collision. Tony Storm, Deonna Purrazzo. Historic match. So make sure you tune in for that on Saturday night.
Not like I've seen it before. I don't know.
Nope. First time
no, I think you're mistaken. I don't think Tony. Tony said it was the first time ever. Deonna even said it was the first time ever. Mm-hmm. So everyone's on the same page. There is a historic night. Monday Night Raw is happening on Netflix, and we are going to come to you live right after with a reaction show. WWE is treating it like a PLE. So are we. We're going to treat it like a major show, and we are going to jump on live Monday night. So make sure you join us right here on our YouTube channel to react with us for that first ever Monday Night Raw on Netflix. It's certainly going to be big, and we want to be a part of it with you right here on GKW. Meanwhile, you can always check out all the other work that we've done. I know JHood was mentioning some of the interviews we've done in the past. Check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/@GoodKarmaWrestling. We'll be back next Thursday, but again, on Monday, we'll be with you as well to react to Monday Night Raw live on Netflix here